everyone. Thank you so much. We will be continuing. I have 30 minutes. My intention is to use the first 10 minutes to do a brief presentation, after which we will open and answers, because mine will be such that will need for us to engage. But before I get into the presentation, which I'll be talking about the importance of premarital counseling, the first thing that I just want to highlight, we spoke, and I'm going back to the answer that I gave in the morning, and perhaps just to, and I think we need to make you realize that the girl child is not expected to do the impossible. But think about it with me. Now, if I have a boy and a girl as children, I will teach my son to respect women. Amen. But more than teaching him, I will demonstrate it to him. Yeah. As he sees me do it to his mother, he will see how it's done. However, I will do much more with my daughter, because I have no jurisdiction to the boys. Because the problem for my girl is not my son, it's their sons. So I then would have to fortify my daughter so that when she goes outside, she is well prepared for the rough world. So the more we keep on going to the girl child is because of the vulnerabilities, because of the exposure. So I want to make and put it on record that the boy child should be trained and should be taught. But the protection that we emphasize on the girl child is because, of course, of what is there to lose. The second part is also an issue of an unbeliever. Without having said it, I want to tell you that the pastor did not insinuate that the believer is someone whose membership is in the church records. So simply because you belong to an Adventist church does not make you a believer. Now, having said that, remember when Paul was writing Fundis, he was writing to the church in Corinth. So he's addressing those that are Christians. So they are worse non-believers in the church sometimes than they are in the world, because they know but they do not do. So beyond just he has a membership I think you need to dig deeper. You need to dig deeper. I will get into my presentation. Where importance of premarital. Now I will restrict myself, and of course the presentation is not exhaustive. I'll restrict myself to just the period before one gets married, right? I will not talk about marital counseling, nor will I talk about post-marital counseling. My overview will be definition of terms, statistics. I'll do some structure, session structures. I would do premarital counseling. I will do a bit of caution, and I will do question and answers. Definition of terms. Premarital counseling, it's educational and it's also therapeutic, right? It is designed as a preventative. When something is preventative, it is to avoid you getting into the negative side of things, right? So premarital counseling is intended to prevent you from what? To decrease the risk of marital ills, marital challenges, and of course divorce. How do we achieve this? By helping couples navigate marriage and family. Is that a clear definition? So when you go to a premarital counselor, the objective is that when they're done with you in session, you need to be in a position to then have the tools to navigate marriage in a way that you will have a marriage that is happier than perhaps you could have had you not gone to premarital counseling. Now, I will restrict myself again on courtship, not dating. I'm not discussing umjolo, because there's serious issues there. So I will, of course, restrict myself to those that are in a romantic relationship, intending to get married. By the way, without even spelling it out, my presentation is based on a heterosexual relation, man and woman. And of course, the other assumption also is that you are of the same faith. Did you know that the church will not permit me to marry you if I'm a marriage officer, if you are marrying someone of a different faith than you? And I'm not even talking about you as Adventists. Even if you are ZCC and the other one is Catholic, I can't marry you on the very basis of your faith. All right, stats. Now, I felt I should make you perhaps see what is happening. These are the statistics of divorce from 2016. They were released in 14 March 2024. Those are the details. We see in 2016 we have 25,326. Now, these are the only recorded stats. Remember, when you divorce, the divorce is granted by the state. Are we together? Now, these stats do not speak to separations, because separations are not necessarily recorded. So these are the divorce rates in South Africa. Are we together? Now, let it be known that divorce is a reality. And by the way, it is not, we are not immune from these realities. In 2020, you see the numbers went down, possibly because Home Affairs has said, guys, let's deal with serious issues, let's leave this divorce thing. That could have affected the divorce rates, but it started going up from 2021, then 2022, the rates are increasing. This is a reality in our country. Divorce by population groups, the black population group is leading with close to 11,000, and this was only in 2022. All right? Of course, the white and the colored follows after that. So, if anything, we are not spared from divorce. So these are the age groups. We'll start with the males, same reference. If you check there, you'll discover that the age between 35 and 39 has the second highest divorce rates amongst men, 18.5, that is 40 to 44, which is the highest. So these are the ages at which male people generally would be divorced. On the female side, of course, again, is between 35 and 39, with the second highest being 40 to 44. Perhaps it is true that 40 is the midlife crisis. Divorce by duration of marriage. Now, this speaks to how long have people been married until they're divorced. So you see, that's the highest being 5 to 9 years. So in the time between 5 and 9 years, in 2022 was recorded the highest rates of divorce. So divorce, as you see across the board, from 0 to 4 years, we have 15.6%. The least record of divorce is above 35. Kind of like makes sense. I mean, once we get 30, we're like, what's one? You know, let's just hold on there. But I suppose earlier than that, people get to think they have options. All right. So again, on statistics, it has been revealed that premarital counseling can reduce the risk of divorce by almost 50%. So that is to say, if this row, this column has 50 people, or rather 50% of this, and this also 50%, almost these of the people who will go for premarital counseling will be spared by just going to have these sessions done with them or for them. Unfortunately, as it was mentioned earlier, there was the case also of who initiate divorce. So here we are going, I'm just going to go through this. Now, this is what we call a Johari window model. It is intended to help you relate with people, right? But what this model does also, it makes you also understand yourself better. So if you check on the first portion, it's written open area. This is things that you know about yourself and that people know about you. So that's the things that are obvious, right? Now you see the next one, which is hidden area. These are things that, now the unknown is what is not known by you or the other people about you. Now what counseling does, it tries, the concept is naked but not ashamed. That we bring you to a point where you know so much about each other that you are not disappointed when you get married. Of course, it cannot be 100%. We cannot expose everything. There are certain things that will only be revealed under the same roof. But what we intend to achieve is that when we are done with this, you have understood what the other person is, and they have understood you in a way that you either choose to continue or not. I took a couple through premarital counseling, and after a while, they stopped contacting me for the next session. So I'm thinking, yo, Shem, what? I was starting with my premarital counseling ministry, so I thought it was about me. Eventually, when I reconnected with them, I had done a presentation on the same naked but not ashamed, and I just challenged them to share their deep secrets, because it's very dangerous to marry someone you do not know. It's equally dangerous to marry someone. You see, we can pretend all we want, but when you get married, you want to be free. So one way or another, that facade, that mask will come out. And when it comes out, the question is, are you fair to the other person that did not know? So after a while, I connected to them. They were girlfriend. Okay, she's been dating him for 7 years. He has an 11-year-old son from his previous girlfriend who is married. Now she says every now and then I'll come to his church and I'll be shocked that people are looking at me funny, you know. So unknown to her, they know, my sister. So what we try to do here is to push you to a point where you are able to reveal all the secrets, because it's only fair that when we get married, we know each other and we have a working relation. All right, things that I will possibly cover in my premarital counseling: the theology of marriage. Marriage is of God, and God alone can decide how it should be done. Who am I? Now, this is very important. Before you communicate who you are to the next person, you yourself must know who you are. Now, I'll take you through a series of a genogram and just break you down. I took a couple through premarital counseling so I would also ask you what you want me to focus on. So of the things that she asked me to focus on, much of which was mental health related. So when I asked them to do a genogram, I discovered that 3 people in her lineage were depressed to a point of suicide. Now, these things are what we call genetic predisposition. By virtue of being descending from those lineage, you are most likely to have such issues. So it was easy for me to then address them while they came up. So it's important to know who you are. Financial planning, my goodness, we need to be clear on this one. We need to know what we're getting ourselves into. We can't. Love is not enough. I will speak again on this. Sexual intimacy, this is talking about whether you want to have children and everything. In some cases, I will have to refer some of these things when I see that the couple needs special training, which I do not have. I will have to refer them. Marital regime. Now, one of you asked a question. I'm in a financial sector. Is it okay for me to sign a prenup? The moment you say prenup, I'm like, oh, American vocabulary, because in South African context we use antenuptial contract. So what an antenuptial contract is, there are 3 regimes, at least for us. Of course, there is the third one, the fourth one. The third one speaks to Muslims. The fourth one speaks to, what do you call them? When you marry, polygamous marriage. But I'll constrain myself on the 3. The first one is what we call, within the antenuptial contract agreement, we have out of community of property with accrual. That simply means you come into the marriage, you keep what you have, I keep what I have. But what we build together belongs to both of us. That is with accrual. But without accrual says, my brother, you are coming with what you have, I'm coming with what I have, and we continue with what we have individually and independently. Now the question has always been, okay, the third one is in community of property. The South African government, in the South African government, this is a default setup. If you don't sign anything, you by default are married in community of property. Now in community of property means that her assets are your assets. Her debts are your debts. Now the question has always been asked, which one? And some have made it spiritual. This is not a spiritual exercise. No, this is not. Now some, no, God wants, no, you don't trust me. You are coming with debts. No, I don't trust how, at least I don't trust how you handle the finances. Now, one of the reasons, and I'm just giving you one and I proceed. One of the reasons why anti-nuptial agreement may be important. Let's say I'm coming with debts, right? I can't even loan a house or a car. If I marry you and my debts outweigh your savings or whatever, you are also in debt the very moment we sign that document. Now the problem is that both of us now cannot buy a car, we cannot buy a house. So sometimes we can sign up a anti-nuptial agreement where I keep my debts, you keep your monies, and we can buy properties through you. So it's not necessarily that it has to be either or. Are we clear? On this one, I will invite, I will taking you through premarital counseling, I will invite a professional to come address you on this very one. Child rearing and guidance. Just one thing on child rearing and guidance. The realization that if every child is unique is very important. Some of you here seated are scarred for life because your parents were comparing you with the neighbor's child. So you need to raise these children with the knowledge. They don't have to know maths. For the record, they don't have to know maths. Howard Gardner talks about what he coined as multiple intelligences, where he talks about different types of intelligences, which if identified in children, can assist the child to better face the world. We talk about the psychology of marriage. We talk about the position of the church, which is very important, because when you understand the position of the church in marriage and divorce, you need to realize that should you not live accordingly, the church has to sit on your name. Not because we have issues with you, but we have an issue with what we believe you have done that is an unbiblical. Communication, which is very important. Caution. First one, avoid shotgun marriages. Now shotgun marriages is like, I made her pregnant, I have to marry her. You don't have to. No, so this is the thing. I wish I could address first the part where you should not even make her pregnant. But that's not where I am. But some of the abuses that we experience is because of people who are bitter, because they marry someone they should not have married. The next one, wedding marriage. Some people prepare more for the wedding more than they prepare for the marriage. We spend so much money that by the time we are like declared married, we are broke. The first thing we fight for is money. Why? Because we spend 120,000 for a wedding, 8 hours. I wish we could take you to, I blew it. So we should put so much energy in preparing for the marriage because it lasts more than 8 hours. He and she will change, my gosh. A lot of people come to my office and say, Mfundisi, I thought he will change. No, he won't. God is waiting for us to change. And we are not changing. Somehow you feel like if you marry them, they will change. I don't know what you are giving them. God is giving them breath. He's giving them providence. He's giving them everything you can give them. Now you come in, you think you can give them something that can make them change. People hardly change. So I would always say that the person that you marry, at that moment you marry, you must be willing to live with them for the rest of their life, should they not change. All right, loveless union. I stand to oppose this. We were told, no, marry the heart. I needed more than the heart. Bless my soul. I needed the heart, but I needed more than the heart. And the point here is that the heart is somewhere located inside. We need, some of the reasons why people are not faithful, and I'm not reducing it, is because they're in loveless marriages. One of the most discouraging texts, and I think is terrible, when you read Genesis chapter 29, Leah having children. Remember Leah? Leah has the first child, and to him, she says to herself, I have borne him, behold a child. That's what woman means. Behold a child. So in essence, because of this child, my husband will love me. And he did not. He gives birth to Simeon. And she calls him Simeon because she says, now that I've born him a second child, he will love me. The third child, Levi, he says he will be united to me. Listen, loveless marriages would lead you to serious abuse. Avoid them. Lastly, I will not go through this, but what the writer is basically saying is that there are certain things. I said with a couple, and I was preparing them for post-marital. They were divorcing. It was clear that there was nothing. When I set them down, I asked them to go through premarital counseling. They said no. And when I sat with them, I realized that had they gone through premarital counseling, this divorce could have been avoided. But here's the thing. I am what they call pastoral premarital counselor. So a pastor can be a premarital counselor, but every pastor, no? So it's more than just being a pastor for you. You understand that we have different gifts, right? And my caution here is that it sounds like but you know what? So after this says, the pastor said it because he loves us, you know? And I'll deal with my colleagues. Not every pastor can take you through premarital counseling. Quite frankly, you should not go to every pastor. I know one who told this lady that she was marrying a divorcee. And he justified, it was the lady who did it. She was at fault. She said to me in my office, she says to me, Pastor, I should not have done it. Because the pastor took the spiritual side of things. Not everything should be spiritualized. I got and said reality of this bitter. Because someone said it can be done, you should not. So we need to be very careful. We should not go. You can go to a professional marriage counselor. You can have the help, but if you would want to go to a pastor, I urge you, someone who knows what they're doing. Amen. I have about 5 minutes. Unfortunately, I need question and answers briefly. Then I'm still within my 30 minutes. So if you have a question. Yes, sir.
What are the advantages of premarital counseling?
So the advantages would be, one, to open your eyes to things that you may not be. You know how they say love is blind? So they will tell you love is blind, but marriage will open your eyes. You don't have to wait for marriage for your eyes to be open. Premarital counseling opens your eyes to things that ideally, because you are in love, you may not see. Premarital counseling helps you prepare. It's preventative. There are certain things that when I take the first presentation that I do, a pilot presentation to a couple, I will say to them, I will introduce myself, guys, listen, I'm taking you through premarital counseling, but this does not mean you must get married. Because I expect to shake their boat so hard that they can decide to jump out. So premarital counseling should shake you so hard that you're like, nah, not this one. It should expose you. It should help you with the communication. So there's a lot of things, as I mentioned, the sessions that I go through. But ideally, it should be such that it prepares you. Some will say we are a coach. You are being coached. So you are being prepared for marriage. All right? Anyone? I still have some few, yes, there's a hand there. I have 4 minutes. No, your mic is coming. Your mic is coming.
I want to ask, how is it not to engage in a community of property marriage?
Okay. So they're not committing to in community of property. It simply means, like I explained earlier, what is yours, what is mine is mine. So if you go and gamble your money out, I just sit, we don't judge, we just watch. I just sit there and I watch you as you drown yourself in debt, because as much as you are married, you are drowning your own finances. So out of community of property simply means that what is mine, what is yours. But of course, with accrual means that what we grow after we are married becomes the both of us. Should they be divorced later, we can then split what we acquired together. But if there's divorce in out of community of property without accrual, everyone just part their ways. But if there's divorce in a community of property, 50-50. We don't, the law may not, of course the laws may check certain standards, but generally you will have to forego 50% to her or to him and you return the rest. Yes. The question is, how much do I charge for my premarital sessions? I have been doing this for some years, but I do not charge. I don't charge a cent. It's my passion. I love doing it, and I've helped so many. One of the most beautiful things is to attend a wedding, and you're like, man, So I do not charge as yet, and I don't envision myself doing so. I do it as part of ministry. A hand? Yes. There's a hand here. You want to talk? Yeah. Tricky one. My brother, just speak, man.
Okay, Pastor, I want to find out. Can you share with us if you have come across them? Have you ever asked this couple, this patient, tell us
Hello, Pastor.
You must tell us your deepest. Have you ever come across that situation in your family? Tell us your deepest, the meeting with God. And what you have.
So remember, my job is to counsel and to coach, right? There are some, like, let's say for instance, I'm taking them something like finances. I don't have to know their financial standing. So some of these things I'll just ask them, go and discuss and just be open to each other. But of course, here, I will not say so much that we listen to judge, but I think we listen to make decisions. After listening, we will make the decision. We will be like, my brother, thank you, man, for the past 6 months. May God be with you. It's important for us to have that authority to say, because remember, marriage is such that it will cripple you if you don't do it right. At the end of the day, my responsibility is to make sure that you guys are best suited for one another. But if you are not, please don't do it. I think one of the problems is that we also have societal pressure. When are you getting married? Some people of your age have children, all them things. But let me say this to you. You have your own journey. Your journey is different from the next person. So walk your journey and forget about the next person. I have 2 questions and I'm done. Yes, sir.
How soon should
that's a good question.
Yes, how soon should one...
In context, how soon should we then begin this whole... the couple that I'm currently working on now, I started with them in, I think, October last year. Of course, we meet once a week, but sometimes we miss. But here's the issue. Avoid shotgun marriages. Don't come to me and like, hey, Mfundisi, man, next month, man, hey, in 2 weeks' time. Personally, I'll refer you to the next person because I don't think it will be thorough enough. I know colleagues who will do what they call a crash course. It's not the most ideal, but it's difficult to compress a lesson that should span you the lifetime in a day or 2. So I would prefer that we have enough time, preferably 3-6 months minimum. But of course, provided that we are meeting regularly. Last question, then, yes.
My question is very much simple. Will you still say someone should go and marry? Since I've attended a lot of these sessions, but what I hear mostly is the negative side of marriage. Other than sex, what are other?
You see, one of the things that I've observed, is that we don't, and take this, we don't see things for what they are. We see things for who we are. Many times, I saw a book written, How to Survive Marriage. I'm like, what? Survive marriage? Because it presents it as this yoke, surviving it. I'm blessed too, and I told my wife and God that the day my marriage falls apart, I'm stopping this ministry. Pastor Mutero and I would argue that more than just counseling, we are being exemplary. Now, when we talk to you, of course, there's a lot of joys in marriage. I mean, we just do not have time. There is. Do you know that sitting together and just having that, and it depends. I will talk about the 5 love languages and what your spouse or a prospective spouse love language is, because there are some people who just enjoy just spending time with you. That was the last question, but I'm saying there's a lot of things that are there that would, and now if you think sex is possibly the only good thing about marriage, I wonder what if it is not good for you? Would that mean the end of marriage? What if it is not what you think it is? Or perhaps either one of you gets sick or whatever, and you happen to, would you, so there is more to it, and I would probably talk about it another day. My time is up. Thank you so much. May God bless you. Amen.